Hey, so it looks like people are starting to kind of filter in. So for those of you who are filtering in, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us this during the National Veteran Small Business Week, obviously powered by the Small Business Administration. I know that there is a lot going on this week in the world, but I think it's extremely important to take time to invest in and celebrate, of course, our veterans who are building amazing businesses and the backbone of our country, especially there on Main Street with these businesses that are providing jobs. I also think it's also a great time to kind of get who I consider our friends and family of the IVMF together to then have a great discussion about not only your businesses, but your journey through your small business and more. I think it's going to be a great, lively conversation if I could, just predict the future. So very excited to have everyone here. And with that, we're going to, over the next hour, we're going to have a conversation with some graduates and family of the IVMF, but we're also going to hear from some exceptional leaders that make our work possible. During that time, I know there's going to be a lot going on in the chat. If you have a question that is just burning that you'd really like to hear from these folks or want to learn more about a resource or anything that you hear on this, please put it in the chat and we'll, hopefully get those questions answered. If not, then I know everyone's emails on this, so I can also email them and hopefully get an answer on later as well. But before I drone on, I do want to call attention to a very, very, very special guest of ours, one of those that has obviously made a lot of our work possible here at the IVMF, and thus a lot of the programming that many of you may have been able to leverage or will soon be able to leverage, not only here at the IVMF, but of course with all of our training programs across the nation and other amazing entrepreneurship training partners. We have Larry Stubblefield, who's the Associate Administrator of the Office of Veterans Business Development at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Thank you so much, Larry, for joining us, and I'll kick it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Misty, for that warm introduction. Let me start by just saying happy National Veteran Small Business Week to everyone. And, now more than ever, it's really important for us to be there for all of you, our nation's veteran small business owners. Small businesses fuel the U.S. economy, and veteran-owned small businesses employ more than 4 million people and contribute more than $1 trillion in sales to the economy every year. So on behalf of the SBA and our administrator, Jovita Carranza, just want the audience to know that our agency is committed to helping you during this worldwide pandemic. And we're using National Veteran Small Business Week as one way to do just that. We know that it's been a very tough year for business owners, and the pandemic has forced you to shift your operations, adapt your business plans, lay off your valued staff, and much more. That's why we decided to focus this year's National Veteran Small Business Week theme on VetBiz resources in your local community, which highlights the wealth of entrepreneurial resources available to veterans at the local level. Our Veterans Business Outreach Centers and other resource partners are located in communities nationwide to assist you during this difficult time period. Speaking of our VBox, I just want to give you a little information in terms of what they've been doing in regards to COVID response. They've conducted well over 4,200 counseling sessions, over 125 training events, answered 230 inquiries, and conducted 175 group mailings. So for those listening in today, I encourage you to take advantage of the resources that we have that are out there to help you. And just like a mission, when you're on a mission in the military, you don't have to go about this alone. We encourage you to visit the SBA for your capital, government contracting, training, and counseling needs. Because at the SBA, we have 68 district offices located around the country, along with an extensive resource network made up of small business development centers, the SCORE chapters, women business centers, and as I mentioned, the Veteran Business Outreach Centers. And altogether, we're talking about 1,400 locations nationwide with more than 13,000 business advisors and counselors who can help you develop your business plan, prepare to apply for a loan, or refer you to networking opportunities, or help you as you pivot your business during this difficult time. So if you're interested in learning more about SBA resources for veterans, please visit sba.gov/OVBD. That's for Office of Veterans Business Development. And again, I want to thank our IVMF team for hosting today's event. We are grateful for your partnership, and we look forward to hearing today's discussion. So thank you very much, Misty. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks so much, Larry. Really appreciate it. And then, of course, appreciate the rest of your team on here. I know I just see even Stan and Taylor here. Again, if you have questions about resources, please look over into the chat and you can get all the links you need. Taylor's already jumped in and put the links so you can see everything SBA. So again, thanks, Larry. So appreciate all y'all joining us today. Today's really going to be a conversation. So we decided to pull in some amazing folks that have businesses in all different industries and all different parts of the country that are in different walks of life with their business to kind of talk about what are those resources that have been leveraged over time, talk a little bit about their journey, any tips that they might have. But again, it's just a conversation because I think that in this time, especially, people need just more conversations, and maybe there's some amazing tips that they'll pull out from it. So typically we'd be sitting in a normal panel, as everyone knows, but really that was almost a year ago. So maybe people don't remember how panels work. So usually we're on a stage, on chairs in a straight line. So I would say here, each of you tell a little bit about yourself, and it'd be very easy because they would realize that it's kind of in a straight line. So they would just go one right after each other. This time I'm going to have to kind of call on them like a teacher. So what we're going to do is give each of our awesome vetrepreneurs a moment to kind of tell us about, who they are, what their business is, where they're located, and then from there we'll kick it into the conversations with questions. So with that, Chris, I'm going to let you kick off.
Well, thank you, Misty, for having us. I always enjoy these conversations with IVMF folks, so thank you. Misty said, my name is Chris Rawlings. I'm the founder and CEO of Veteran LED. We're a lighting and energy management company. So we help commercial and industrial businesses with energy efficiency and managing their utility costs. And I also have QuipTech that focuses on government contract and mainly distributing tech-enabled processes. So I founded the company, QuipTech, in 2014 after graduating Florida State University, go to Knowles EBV program with Dr. Randy Blass down there. Also attended O2O, which back then I think it was like the tech track program or something. For my PMP, and just loved growing the network within IVMF and using those programs. We're located here in Richmond, Virginia. We have a small office up in New York and in Philadelphia as well. So just excited to be here and talk to you folks.
Thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. I hope that you're quarantining appropriately as you visit those other offices across the nation as well. With that, I'll kick it over to Miss Erin Roth.
Hello again. Thanks, Missy, for this opportunity. I'm Erin Roth. I'm the CEO and executive pastry chef of Miss Jo's Petite Sweets. We initially started off doing desserts, and then we moved into corporate and private catering. Located in Alexandria, Virginia, I work out of a commercial kitchen, and the products I've used in IVF, before I retired from the Army, I went to the Boost the Business program. And then I also attended the EBV program, the Entrepreneur Bootcamp for Disabled Veterans as well. So it's great programs. You got to do it.
And you're a dog tag. Aren't you dog tag as well?
Oh, yeah, as well. Yeah. As a dog tag alum. Cool.
Yeah.
And we actually got a chance to meet President Obama and Vice President, soon to be President Biden.
You were in that class when they decided to crash into Dog Tag Bakery.
It was real.
Yeah, that's cool. Very interesting. So I think that for any of you that don't know, Dog Tag Bakery, amazing place with it, just kind of two sides, right? So they have an amazing training program that's actually was residential, but of course is now flipped online. That really goes through not just entrepreneurship, but almost like life and management skills as well for small business. So it's great for small business, but it's also good for a little bit of career prep in there. But in addition to that, if you're not there for the training, you can be there to expand your waistline because their treats are amazing. And it would be worth mentioning that you can, I'm sure, you can order them right now too. So if you're thinking about gifts, or if you leverage Aaron Roth corporate gifts, but also look at Dog Tag if you're in the area, but if you're ordering too, so look at that. So with that, I'll pass it over to Denise Townsend. Oh, looks like you're having some sound issues. No, we had you a second ago. We'll let you mess with your speaker for a second, and then we're gonna just kind of adapt, just like true entrepreneurs, and go straight over to Margot and then come back to Denise.
Hey, Misty, thanks so much. Really appreciate this opportunity. I'm Margot Langstaff, and I co-own a company called LifeHealth outside of Denver, Colorado. We've been in business about 18 years. We are an 8A veteran-owned, woman-owned small business. I have a wonderful business partner, Lisa Hamill, and we're in healthcare. So you can imagine what our lives have been like over the last 6 months. I came back from vacation to going from a wellness company with a lot of Department of Defense contracts to a COVID screening company and sourcing the protective gear. I'll tell you, we had to pivot in a matter of 48 hours. So I'm very happy that now we're into November, and I'm thinking things are quieting down a bit. But the SBA has been critical for us in the way of our growth. Attended an Emerging Leaders program through them. We also were awarded Small Business People of the Year out of Colorado with the SBA. So the SBA has been a very, very good partner of ours, and I don't think that we would have grown to the size that we are without the SBA. So with that, I look forward to talking to everyone.
And I'm gonna do it for Margot because she's one of the more humble people. So when she says grow to the size that they are, I'm not going to give out the size, but I am going to say that if you check on Inc. 5000 lists of years past, you will see LifeHealth on them. You'll also see a couple times on the Vet 50 and Vet 100 lists. So you've grown quite the company over the last 18 years. And I think that that's something that we'll dig into a little bit later because it's going to be very interesting to see. Because I'm sure not all those 18 years have looked the same as you've grown that company. So.
I'd say the last 18 hours, the last 18 days. I mean, you're just like, I'm sick of pivoting. But I'm not looking forward to winter because you can see my backdrop as I'm on my patio. So I haven't been in my office. Lisa, my business partner, and I, because of our age, are not allowed in the office because we're too high risk. So we've been working out of our homes. And I think I've been to the office twice, but so far so good. We've been able to manage. But I think for anyone, Aaron, I can't imagine how challenging it's been for you in the sort of the food service business. But thank you, Misty. Really appreciate the shout out.
Of course. No, thank you. I think that's why it's going to be really interesting as we dig in because we're on all in different industries and different areas. I don't know if Denise is back yet. I see that she kind of leaned over. So I think she's probably going to work on a few things. So that's fine. So while she's doing that, I think one thing that is interesting, and I think you all said it throughout your intros, is the word pivot. So usually I would say, let's wait and see if, oh wait, she's plugging in. So I would usually do wait and see. Let's see if she can do that before I ask the first question. Nope, can't hear you still. Try logging out and logging back in, and we'll ask the first question. It'll be about pivoting. So think about that as we log out and log back in. So, okay, y'all, you all said it during your intros, and I think it's really important to touch on because let's just kind of address the elephant in the room. Your business, when we were all together, or the last time we all saw each other, probably looks a lot different than your business does today. But I think we just kicked it off with Margot too. What it looked like 18 years ago, 18 months ago, 18 hours ago, 18 days ago is probably also completely different. As we talk about leveraging resources, can you talk me through maybe some of your most important pivots, maybe some that were great, maybe some that failed? And who were those resources or networks that you kind of used during that time to make those pivots? So I don't know if Margot, Aaron, I see you nodding enthusiastically. So I don't know if you're just ready to jump in. So if you are, why don't you go ahead and jump in, and then we can kind of kick it around the group if you want to.
Sure. As I said before, being a military, you adapt or die. And so for us initially, we got hit really hard with COVID, particularly in March. Like I told you before, Misty, we lost 4 catering events, corporate catering events in March. I lost 3 in April, 2 large events in May, and a wedding in June. And so that was about the second week in March, like, okay, we got to figure something out here. And so we started doing online catering, offering people meals packages where they can come by and pick up meals, because a lot of people weren't cooking as much. And at that time, it wasn't easy to go to a restaurant and order curbside. So we did that for a couple of months, and that went well. And then I had partnered with another veteran business owner, and that's why that networking is so important. And she and I partnered together for an event, and I love the event so much that I done another pivot off my original brand. And so we're going to do fine dining services, because now people want to experience a 5-star experience in a restaurant. They don't want to go to the restaurant to do that. And so teaming up with her and another veteran business owner who's a bartender, we're able to offer that experience in your home. And so, yeah, you just have to pivot. And also this has allowed me enough time to think about my next set of steps. And so we're looking at going into the kitchen apparel industry, where we're going to do Miss Jo's aprons, kitchen apparel. And then we're also looking in the spring, Miss Jo's jams, jellies, and relishes. So yeah, COVID sucked, but it allowed us to kind of like reset and refocus and change the mission now. And we're guns are blazing. Life is great.
I like
Yeah,
it.
that reset. Yeah, that reset, boy.
You have to.
Oh.
You have to, because you don't want to be the blockbuster of the world.
No.
Had a chance to take over Red Box, but they didn't. And so, but anyway, I'll go ahead, Mr. I give it back to you.
I like it. I think that it'll be interesting too, and then we'll circle back around on it to say, because it's interesting the businesses that you're building on that. And then at what point do you know that like this is a good pivot, but it's not a distraction, or I'm not departing from like my core, what I do best, right? Still first best use. It's just a pivot. So Denise, I think you're on. Can we hear you? Maybe not. Okay. So Margot, I know that you said it best too in there, that your company has looked probably like a chameleon over the years. So can you talk a little bit about some of your best pivots, some of your worst pivots? Who have you kind of used along the way? Who have you wish that, like maybe wouldn't have leveraged or put so much trust in? Like tell me about your story a little bit.
Well, I think that this pivot has been the most extreme. That, again, I come back from vacation, had left a company very stable, life was good, everything like that. I landed back in the States, and it hit the fan. That I would say that was the 3rd week of March. We were gearing up to do all of our wellness programs, where we go into these large companies, we do cholesterol testing, health education, etc. To the phones were ringing off the hook, to all of a sudden silence. And I mean silence. All of our customers were regrouping themselves, so they didn't want us in there. And then all of a sudden, about 4 days later, the phone was ringing off the hook because people wanted COVID testing, whatever that was. But I realized that all of our clinicians, and we've got close to 600, had to be retrained. We needed protective gear. So Lisa and I, we could not, no matter how high up our contacts were, we could not get protective gear. That was impossible to do. So Lisa and I kind of regrouped and said, how are we going to get this protective gear? Because without it, we couldn't financially continue, because to be able to do the testing that we were doing, we needed the protective gear. So we both agreed that we would read 4 newspapers every morning: the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Denver Post, was it the Journal, whatever the 4 are. And we ended up with a contact in Boulder, Colorado, of a gentleman that was actually sourcing protective gear. So through my contacts, we got a hold of this guy. And I said, what are your terms? As long as it's medical grade. And we started sourcing from, I don't know where, I'm thinking the Middle East. But all of a sudden we were able to get hundreds of thousands of these to be able to start doing COVID testing. But all of our resources, we had to pivot what people did in the company. So this is another thing about people need to understand how they have to be flexible. They have to go from kind of one job to the next job and be enthusiastic about it. I think Aaron and Chris know this really well. It's like one day they're doing one job, the next day they're not. So we had to put one person on full time on the testing. What testing equipment could we get a hold of? How accurate was it? Was it FDA approved? And everything was being pushed through the FDA so fast. We had to have our own safety measures to know that it was the right equipment. So that was probably, I'd say over the last 6 months, has been the most successful pivot that I've ever done, but it's only because of the people that are surrounding. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think that's a good one. I think too, we're going to dig in on culture in a little bit because I'm very interested to see, I know that y'all have people that you work with, work for you too as well. But even, your company is kind of a culture, even if it's just a one person thing. What's the attitude that your, country or your company sort of like provokes? So I think it'll be interesting to talk through how do you build pre-pandemic a flexible and agile company that can then answer to a pandemic. So more on that later. But until then, we have Chris Rawlings.
Hey, Misty. So I've posted some videos quite extensively about pivoting over the last few months. Interestingly enough, about 2 years ago, I attended the National Veteran Small Business Engagement event in St. Louis. And so I landed the plane, I get there, and I realized that the whole event is tailored to medical professionals and the VA, which I was not active in at all. So I'm like, okay, I'm in St. Louis.
Hello, testing.
She's here. Denise, we'll come back to you as soon as Chris is done, but you're here. This is exciting now.
Thank you.
We went from the Three Musketeers to a good little four group here, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so I'm in St. Louis. I'm like, well, I've already booked my tickets. I might as well enjoy it. So I just walk around. I start networking. I meet a guy. He's a manufacturer out of the UK for some medical supplies. And basically, he needed a reseller to sell to the VA hospitals. And I said, I'm not really in that business. We have some things set up, but it just wasn't the right timing. Well, we kept in touch. We built a relationship. We built that rapport. And we ended up putting some, doing some deals together with the VA. And it was just kind of like a side thing. But through that process, I learned how to do the due diligence, understanding FDA compliance, understanding supply chain and logistics and requirements of different contracts, and just got some experience. So when COVID hit in March, mainly, 80% of my business is in energy efficiency and in energy consulting. So all of those projects, about 80% of those projects got put on hold completely, no capital expenditure. And so I went back to my clients and said, what do you need? They said, we need PPE, we need masks, we need gloves, we need, hand sanitizer. And I'm going, okay, well, let me reach back out to this guy. And what eventually ended up happening is I didn't do business with him, but what I did do is I took that experience that I learned with him and got with the rest of my network. And then next thing you know, we land a contract to sell thermometers and PPE to Dominion Energy here in Richmond. They have 21,000 employees across the country, and they were sending out little PPE bags to every single one of them. And they said, look, we're not used to procuring these items. This is not something that's normal to us. And I said, look, I've never done this before, but I know how to vet out the materials. And I promise you I'll stand by my word and you'll get what you need. And that's exactly what we did. And so that really helped kind of give us a little cushion. And the second part of that is when I went to my clients and they said, look, we're going to put these energy efficiency projects on hold, but whatever you can do to help us with our indoor air quality, we need help with that. this is whole like a COVID response package. So me being an energy consultant and a certified energy manager, I have an understanding of the building systems and the way that they act. And so I just dove right into the research. And with my lighting background, I naturally transitioned into germicidal lighting, air purification, and different measures that we could take to help them. So I was kind of already positioned a little bit with some things that I had tried in the past, and kind of the industry that I was already in. But the main point there is I reached out to them and said, what do you need? I didn't call them and say, I have this, like to scramble, try to do all this crazy stuff. I said, how can I really help you? And so that's when I looked at, the tools and the resources that I had. I was very pragmatic about what we could do, what we couldn't do with the staff that we have. And we were able to deliver. And, lo and behold, those projects that were put on hold, they came back. And now I'm scrambling because my pivot is generating revenue and my core business is generating. Now I'm trying to hire people and get people in. So I would say it's a little bit of luck, but it's just because I went out, over the years and just always trying to create opportunity and always trying to network and just keep the relationships, even though there's not like a business transaction, maybe then it could be 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So we were already positioned with our network to make the pivot.
There's a lot of good kind of threads there too, that you talked about, just being ready, like how do you nurture that network? And I think we'll kind of talk about that later on, but it's something that you were doing for a while before then you had to leverage it. I think one thing that I would just love to foot stomp on for a second, because I'm sure that you've probably picked it up somewhere along the way, is that when you called your clients and asked them what they needed, I think so many times we sit on these panels talking about how to do business with Fortune 500s or how to do business with the government or how to do business with Congress or whoever it is. And so often that's a missed point. People get up to ask their question and then just straight pitch their business where they haven't said, you know what, I see Johnson & Johnson on that panel. Let me see real quick what Johnson & Johnson is buying and needing. And maybe I'm that person, but maybe I'll be that person 4 years from now. So that's an awesome point there.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, Missy, the research. I mean, you can't go to market with something that you don't know, right? You have to be knowledgeable. And so when COVID started, I looked at germicidal light. I didn't even come to market with those services until the second week in July. But because I took March, basically when COVID hit, to July to do the research, to put up on the website, the FAQs and FDA and like all of that. Because if I just came to market and said I have a bunch of lighting or whatever, I would get no credit. So the research, you gotta do the research.
That's awesome. Thanks again. So Denise, I see you and I heard you a second ago. So are you back in action? See, the suspense is killing me. I don't know. Maybe it's yes, maybe it's no. Denise, if you are back in action, definitely just, interrupt me and we're going to get you introduced so we can talk about your business as well. Okay, so I just want to call it out. We're talking about resources here, right? So as a part of it. So I think that, Chris, as you talked through things, just because one, I know a little bit about, Margot, you said it brilliantly. You've leveraged the SBA. Did you do small business development centers, VBOX?
Yes.
Yep.
Did them all. We did all the above, but not just all of a sudden that I'd realize at one point that I'd meet the SBA, other PTAC. I mean, it was just all of the traditional resources out there were critical in our growth at very different stages of that growth. So they were in the way of infrastructure, operational issues, financial issues, all the gamut. I couldn't have done it without them.
Denise, thank you. Denise, I just saw you come off mute. So are you here?
I believe so. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear
good.
you. We can hear you. So although we can't see you, we trust that it's a smiling face and we can hear you. So why don't you catch up real quick with who you are, what you do, who you've leveraged, where's a pivot, and then we'll kind of dive into the rest of the conversation.
Okay, I apologize for the technical issues. Again, I can't afford an IT person, so here we go. But my name is Denise Townsend. I am the owner of Spectra Cargo Logistics. So we started the company about in 2018. We're a delivery service partner with Amazon. And so we do deliver smiles to all of our customers, probably including the panel, okay? And so that's what we do. The different pivots that we've had to make, I mean, oh my goodness, there's been so many. The most important one, I think, has been our recruiting and onboarding. I mean, we went from, interviewing in person to all of a sudden having to hire some people to start recruiting online and doing everything virtual. We're talking about virtual interviews, video interviews, like all of this was pretty new. And I was in a panic trying to figure out how to make this adjustment really at the last minute. So it was quite challenging. This has been just a crazy year. But I've learned a lot through it all. We're probably going to get to planning and all of that. And so, my goodness, 2020, wow. Yes, it has been a challenging year, but we're still moving forward.
And that's what, I think that's also extremely important, right? So, and I think that's a good theme here for everyone that's moving forward. I think that there's definitely companies here. Chris, you talked about your stop. Margaret, you talked about the silent phone. Aaron, you talked about the all of a sudden we don't have events, and yet we're still here talking about businesses that you still own. So I think that that's going to be an important thing. So let's talk about development a little bit. So during this pivot, Margot, you said that you all promised to each other that you're going to read 4 newspapers. I know that, as entrepreneurs, often it is something that people study, which is, what does their normal day look like? What does their normal 9 to 5 look like? I think that now you have probably had to learn more in the last 9 months than you probably have had to learn in the last 9 years of your job or of your business, because now it's, to Denise's point, we have to learn how to onboard people remotely when that was never part of the plan. We have to learn how to order PPE from people that we've never done business with. We have to learn how to do business in a pandemic that has actually not really been documented before. So it's not like there's a playbook. So can y'all talk a little bit about what do you leverage when you're looking to work on yourselves as an entrepreneur? Do you have a normal schedule that you stick to? Does that rigidity help? Or is it kind of a different sort of 9 to 5 day? So what do you leverage? What does a normal day look like for you? Is there a normal day for you? And how does that kind of work within your week? So with that, I'll pass that over to Aaron.
Oh, wow. My mother used to always say, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plan. And so as an entrepreneur, for me, being in the food industry, I don't have a regular day, not even a regular week. For me, it's seasonal. Well, before COVID, it was a lot more seasonal. And that was some rigidities, a little rigidity, but like my weekends are shot. I don't have weekends. My weekends are Sunday evening and Monday morning. That's my weekend. After that, that's it. And so, and that's on a good day, a good week, but I don't have a regular day. I'm always researching stuff like Chris mentioned. You're always working on your business. For me, I'm always working on my business, and I'm trying to stay ahead of different things, particularly in the food industry, trying to make sure you stay up to date on what's changing, what's not, trying to see how your customers or your previous clients are. You're just always focusing, it's like playing chess. You're sort of like a grandmaster, champion. You're always thinking the long game, but you're trying to move your pieces on the board to survive, to get to that long game. So I look at it as being like a chess champion. You have to be thinking echelons above reality. And that's how I look at it. But no, I don't have a regular 9 to 5. I laugh. People are not, what's a 9 to 5? You mean like
you have a 24/7?
Yeah, exactly. Because I know for my fellow entrepreneurs and business owners, I keep a little notebook by my bed and I keep a little notebook in my bag, because you never know when ideas spring. I mean, for me, creativity is like, it's always happening. I have a little hamster, he's constantly riding that little wheel to death in my head. And it's just, he's always thinking of ways to do, well, I could do it differently. I even do ARs after an event. If I finish an event or whatever, and in my mind, I'm doing an AR, then I do a note. then I put it in the file. So like, next time I do an event similar, I have at least some type of historical background to go on. And so I'm always thinking, even like right now, COVID is what it is. It's an environmental condition. So now, if you're not thinking about how you're gonna progress after COVID, then you're already behind up. You're already too late. And I know it's not going to be a quick bounce back. People are not going to be comfortable yet. And who knows? I don't even know if next year is going to be normal, but there's a new normal. We will probably not go back the way it used to be, but there will be a new normal. And so you have to realize, okay, how do you keep your pieces on a chessboard to stay in the fight? And so that's all I do. But no, 9 to 5, never.
Never. It's 24/7. I think it's always kind of the funniest thing when you hear people that say, like, I want to run my own schedule, so that's why I want to be an entrepreneur. And you're kind of like, I don't know if you know what that means. So I do think it's very interesting in that regard. And I also think that you said something kind of interesting that I think will easily get skipped over, which was an AAR. We do one after every single one of our programs too. And I think that if you can look back critically and say what worked, what didn't work, what can we do differently, what were things that we appreciated, didn't appreciate, it'll help kind of build that resiliency in your business. So don't ever underplay. There's a lot of things that you learn in your military service that you can then use in your business. And then AAR is one of them, y'all. So good point made there. I don't know if Margot and Chris will do a race to the unmute button to see what you have. And Denise, if you unmute, I'll know to call on you. So we can do that as well. Margot, you're there. Okay, Denise, I'll call on you next.
We've had to pivot a few times. And so Lisa and I have learned a tremendous amount about how not to pivot and how to pivot. And so we've built a company with people that have had to switch jobs very fast based on the marketplace. And so this one came down to people were very, let's just say, upbeat about doing anything to survive because they knew it was their job. If we didn't survive, and there's a core group of 30 of us in the office that manage probably about 600 people out in the field. And so this was critical. Everywhere from our chief financial officer with the payroll protection loan, all of that. It was incredible to see how fast people pivoted and how people were on to researching FDA, how to stay in compliance, how to do this testing, how to do PPE. We realized that if it was business as usual, we would be okay. But if we didn't switch over to COVID and do the testing, that would be left behind. So it was, let's just say it's been a very exhausting, as Aaron said, and Chris, everyone knows, it's been a very exhausting, very intense 6 months. And you never leave the company. You just never, even if you're just sitting back, I don't know, having a glass of wine Friday night, as Aaron said, you're always writing notes on, wait, I read that in the newspaper. Maybe that's a business opportunity. Let me make some calls on Monday about that. Let me leverage my resources. Let me call Misty. Let me call Chris. How's the VA working through this? It's asking all of your resources a lot of questions to sort of see where is the opportunity and that you don't miss the ball on where it's going. So we always try to figure out where the puck is going to be. And so in healthcare while staying compliant. And that is what's been very intense because things have been a little loose in Washington on the FDA requirements. So as a business owner, I had to stay compliant. Washington didn't have to stay compliant, but I did. And that was extremely demanding on some resources and all the credentialing, everything that, and keeping the nurses safe that are there. So that's all I can offer, Misty.
Thanks so much, Margot. Denise, I saw you come off mute, so we can talk through kind of what is your day, what are your resources, what are your things look like, and then from there we have some questions in the chat, so we're going to get real tactical about some resources in a second. But Denise?
So yeah, I'm kind of like with Erin. My day, no day is like the day before, basically. Every day is a new day. Every day has a new challenge. There's no week that looks like the previous week either. And like Erin said, there's no vacation. There is no weekends. I feel like I work 24/7 and I just try to get some downtime wherever I can fit it in, honestly. And I kind of like what Aaron said, it's typically on a Sunday evening and a Monday morning. Yeah. But I also like to, have a somewhat of a routine at the same time. So in the morning, I do like to get up and do like some meditation, even if that's only for 10, 15 minutes, put some easy listening music on or something like that, just so that I can just kind of gather myself for the day, because I don't know what I'm going to be facing, as I approach the day. So I do try to have somewhat of a routine going. If I can get some exercise in, lift a couple of dumbbells or something, if I can get that in, all of that is really important as well. But, it's a daily challenge. And like everyone has said, on the panel, it's a daily grind on your business. You never stop looking at it. You never take your eyes off of it. You're always planning for the unseen, unknown, unforeseen, like you're always planning. So that's pretty much what we're doing as well.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you try to get some exercise in to avoid the COVID-19 pounds, as well as the
it is not working, Misty, I will tell you.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm glad that like now this is just like this part, right? So that we're not on a stage,
Right.
so you can't see about the COVID-19. So look,
Right.
there's small silver lining blessings everywhere. So with that, Chris, look, I know that you do a lot around trying to learn, and then on top of that, you then try to share what you've learned through, you have, I think, a podcast and videos and things that you're also putting out as well. So can you talk a little bit about, is there a normal day in Chris Rawlings' life? Why did you start a podcast? How do you share what you've learned? Where do you go to research? And then if you want to, Willard also asked a great question in there that research is great. Are there some awesome free resources as you're doing your research? We don't know. Why don't you just start tackling it from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my day-to-day has fluctuated over the last 6 years. When I first started, it was nonstop, 16, 18-hour days, not much sleep, just constant. And I think it's come in waves because I've also, through the years, learned kind of what's most important, living your life and not being a slave to your craft or your business. But also just putting forth as much effort as possible. I had a daughter about 16 months ago, so that changed my whole perspective about what's important. So I've actually been taking a lot of time for myself here as of recent. But, I'll say when COVID happened, I was the nerd that was reading white papers, listening to podcasts, searching in my specific industry, what associations like ASHRAE and IES and all these acronym soup I could throw at you, really just diving into that research that was associated with some of the things that I was either hearing from my clients or I was hearing from my network. One of the first things that I did was I called my buddies from LSU, EBV Accelerate program, and I said, guys, we need to get on a podcast, or we need to get on a webinar. I need to hear what's going on. So me and Chris and John and the guys got on, and I got to hear their experiences and kind of put together a plan for myself. Podcast was a huge thing. I mean, it's a free medium. You can go and listen to a lot of things. There's very industry specific, like nerdy things that I listen to. And then there's more like, let me step out of my engineering type mindset and just look at the 100,000 foot view of how do I connect with my customers. One of the first things that I did was I attended a webinar through ASHRAE, which is one of the associations. It looks over HVAC and all that stuff in my world. And they had like 250 people on the webinar, and they talked about the different changes that were going on. And I did my research there and I put a plan together. About a year ago, I wanted to start a podcast. I didn't really look at it as like, I want to gain clients. I really looked at it as like, I get a chance to listen to subject matter experts and learn from them. Right. And of course, it just so happened that, we get branding out of it. And now I have people reaching out to me wanting to be on my podcast. And I'm like, Oh, that's great. So it's really, really cool. One of the main things that I looked at my business and I said, what can I do virtually? Like, where do I have to be in person? Where do I have to go on site? And I looked at all those steps where I didn't have to be in person. And I found out that I can do quite a bit virtually through webinars and Zoom meetings. So it's been great. We're actually just released our 12th podcast. We've just been doing one a month. And now I have so many people reaching out that we're probably going to do 2 or 3. And again, it's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, what's the return on investment? Like this and that. It's literally, I've found a way where it costs me $100. I do everything, and then I pay someone to do the post edit from a gig economy, Fiverr, TopTal, or Upwork, or one of those resources, and it costs me $100. So those are like the little minute things that you can do within your business where you're not paying some branding agency or whatever. Like you can find through connections that they can do things for you in a cost-effective manner, depending on where you are. But to get back to my day-to-day, I'm the type of person where I go and like work deployments. Still in the military where I need to like be deployed. So I'm lucky that I have an amazing wife, and I'm like, hey, I need to go like to the mountains in a cabin for like 2 days and just knock all this stuff out so I can not be so stressed. And then I come back and I'm more relaxed and I can think freely. But that's a little bit unorthodox. Not many people can do that. So I just kind of take it day by day and just really look at, again, the resources. We used Veteran Institute for Procurement, so VIP out of Montgomery County, Maryland. That was an amazing resource, learning about government contracting. They have 2 programs, one for entry level and another one for more established companies. PTAC is great for government contracting. Again, whether it's reviewing your proposals or just getting you and SAM and the different portals and things like that. So yeah, it changes throughout, but I'd say also just try new things. When I started the podcast, I'm like, I just had to forget about what other people would think and just do it. So yeah.
I think that you mentioned a lot of great things in there. One, of course, is that you have an amazing wife, and having your family on your side to help you do your business, things that we know, right, is a great thing too. I know that people are really hungry in the comments about like specifically and logistically, what are some of these resources? I think you named some great ones, right? So you have your PTAC in there. You also had your VIP in there, both great for government assistance. I know, Margot, that you definitely leveraged your PTAC as well. Look at that. That's an awesome, SBA resource partner as well. And I'm sure those have changed over times, right? But it adds to your network as you go forward. I think another great thing that you mentioned is that you've leveraged Fiverr. I think that that's well under, like, Fiverr in the gig economy, like, embrace it. You need a logo, embrace it. You need a virtual assistant, I got one. You need a really cool video or podcast or something else like that. Guess what, guys? There's also cool things like that. Also, don't ever hesitate to reach out to the programs that you've been back through before. I know if you're an EBV grad, and Aaron and Chris, you might know, Denise, you may know this as well. And I think you came off mute, so you're going to maybe have something to say. So as soon as I pause, I'll let you jump in. But there's amazing post-program support through some of these programs as well, or just at least the network that they've built over time. So whether it's the EBV info portal or the post-program support, or, the connections that Megan and Lolly have made through Dog Tag, like, there's great folks in that network too. Denise, I see you're off mute, so I don't know if you have something to add to that.
Well, I just really wanted to also mention that the SBA, and all the resources that they also offer, SCORE. I don't know if you guys remember using SCORE. Like, when I was a very young baby entrepreneur, I used SCORE. And they had some amazing mentors, professionals in, my same industry. They really were so helpful in their guidance. When you don't have confidence and you're not really sure what you're doing, but you want to do something, well, they were there to kind of help you get back on track and keep you moving in the right direction, make sure you had all your kind of everything lined up in an order. You didn't know how to do a business plan. Well, they were there to help you with those resources and templates and walk you through it. So I think that is just like, that was one of my foundations, is that I really leaned on heavily with the SCORE mentorship program. And so any veteran entrepreneurs out there that are just getting started, or if you're just looking for mentors, that is a free service that the SBA offers. And I would encourage you to take full advantage of that.
Aaron, I saw you come off mute, so I think you probably have something to.
Yeah, for the
jump in
gentleman
on.
Yes, for gentlemen to ask the question. First thing, you need to go to IVMF and sign up for the newsletters, and then go to their website and look at all the different organizations that they support. And so, like VBOC, the actual VBOC, there's so many organizations, and once you get on their newsletters, it's going to require you to do a lot of reading. But when once a month when the newsletter comes, you'll be surprised. You may only get one item out of 25. But that's something you can put in your toolbox for later. And then also too, find out, get involved with some groups. Like there's a lot of Facebook groups out there. There's a Facebook group for veteran business owners in Maryland. There's there's different whatever. So start researching those groups, because that's a great wealth of network. These have thousands of people in them, and sometimes they're not all in a small county. It could be throughout the state or in a region. And I asked the question one day in a group I'm in, and I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do this for me. And they were like, oh, okay, here you go, Aaron. Ding, ding, ding. I had like 5 different people to choose from. I'm like, oh, thank you. People that have already been vetted. The hard work has been done. And so, just get out there and get involved and see. I mean, we can't do networking events like we used to, but there's a lot of Zoom networking things going on now. And so get out there, go to IVMF and look at all the different organizations that they partner with, they support, and then get on their newsletters and stuff. And then like for me, I used to go to a lot of the community business partnership, which is a part of the SBA under George Mason in Springfield. And they also have the Veterans Business Center there and the Women's Business Center there as well. So kind of like 1 shot, 3 kills. But they have a lot of great classes. Some of them were free, some of them were like really low cost, but now since we're all virtual, they're all free now. And so, let's go with free. Free is good. And so, those are great opportunities. And then what I like about the webinars, they give you so much information, and most of them don't mind you following up with them afterwards. And then also too, in your county, find out that there's a veteran business council. Or whatever. Sometimes you may have to go through the economic development council of it just depends on what you're trying to do. Get on their newsletter. You'll get a lot of information too, but it's going to require you to do a lot of reading and find out what's going on. And lastly too, be sure to sign up for get on the website of the people we're on right now, like small business, for veterans and the SBA. And because I get their newsletters as well. And so, and I read it, I glance, okay, I need this. Let me go ahead and push that in my toolbox. And so that's how I stay up to date with what's going on, because there's so much, and especially in the DMV area, there's so much going on. So yeah, I got my soapbox.
I like it. Thank you so much. So we have a few minutes left, because I know I saw Maureen join. I know we want to give her a couple minutes at the end to kind of wrap us up. So some of y'all have been on a panel with me before. My favorite question is if there is a book, a podcast other than your own, Chris, a quote, a mantra, a resource, something that someone should live by or know, the one thing that you want these entrepreneurs to be left with today in 30 seconds or less, what would it be? Chris? Oh, nope. Denise came off mute. She's ready. So Denise, you first.
Yes, mine is ready. So my quote that I would leave everyone with is, if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. That is a quote by Maya Angelou. And basically that's just saying, you know what, no matter what people think of you, no matter if people think that you can't do something, like go surprise them. Go surprise them. Go out there and go for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Live your dreams, pursue your goals. Like, you're awesome. You're amazing. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Denise. Chris?
Change your mindset, change your life. I don't know who said it, but it's just something that stuck with me. You know, once I got this clear and really focused on, you know, getting my mindset in the right place, understanding that I have potential for breakthrough and all of these things that would have sounded crazy 6 years ago. You know, some people step back and say, oh, this is crazy. I never would have thought this. Start thinking about the crazy. Start, you know, focusing on your mindset, because then everything else will follow.
Erin.
Hi, so I am a choose a book. I do a lot of reading. I'm a proud nerd. I'm a proud nerd. And so I picked this book up. It's called The $1 Million One Person Business. And it's by Elaine Pofelt. And excuse me if I don't spell that name right, but it's P-O-F-E-L-D-T. And it pretty much talks about how businesses got started as one person and how they scaled to $1 million business. And so what I like about it is she talks about the whole person. Talks about, you know, setting time for yourself, like, you know, Denise mentioned, and it just kind of like the whole person concept. And again, kind of recaps what everybody just said is crazy could be a good thing, particularly if you're getting paid for it. And so, you know, yeah, thinking outside the box. And what I like about it too is she said, you know, everybody has a dream, but, you know, what are you going to do to fulfill it? And so, and she gives you some great steps, you know, to go forward. I mean, obviously, if you're a startup, this is probably really great. And it's actually good for me because it makes me kind of like go back and look at how I can kind of chisel some things away in some ways, and, you know, and that. And, but yeah, the $1 Million One Person Business.
I think we're all going to have to sign up for your book club. So coming soon, Erin Ross Book Club.
You own this something.
Margot. That's what I'm here for. Margot.
I don't know who said this to me, but you always have to hire people that are smarter than you and that are skilled in areas that are not your areas, and be very, very cognizant of that first executive hire, because that's going to set the stage for everything that you do going forward. I live and die by that now.
Thank you very much, Margot. I totally agree with that. I think I constantly surround myself by people that are smarter than me, and I feel like that's caused some great success, not only, but also the ripple effect. And speaking of people that are smarter than me, we have been joined by our Chief Operating Officer here at the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, Maureen Casey. I know, you know, this has been an amazing panel, and we want to give her a moment to kind of, you know, thank our partners and obviously help wrap us up here. So again, to our panelists, thank you so much for being here with us today. All of y'all have been quite amazing. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Maureen.
You know, I don't know that I can follow Erin, Margot, Chris, and Denise. I just was able to, I am like triple booked here this afternoon, so I wasn't able to join for your entire session, but I came in when Erin essentially took all my notes about resources, newsletters, partners. It's like, okay, then my job is going to be very easy because she just hit it all. And I think that from my perspective, there isn't a better way for me to wrap it up than to hear from someone who has taken advantage of everything that we have to offer, and then becomes the mouthpiece for all of us. So Erin, you're hired. You know, we'll definitely be following up. And Margot, you know, I think that what you just said about being cognizant of your hires, Misty stole my line, which is I've been very, very fortunate with the people that have joined our team and the people that in particular that lead the entrepreneurship portfolio. You know, Misty deserves some credit. You know, when she started, she had a small slice of the whole entrepreneurship pie. And you know, fast forward 4 years, she owns the portfolio and she's taken it to places that we had not anticipated. And she's supported by an exceptional team as well, but it takes someone driving it and coming up with those ideas and and doing it with humor, grace, and she's one that never says no. And I think that's important to be successful. Chris, I loved what you said about thinking of the crazy, because it is in thinking about the crazy that you might not get all the way there, but it's going to get you farther than what you had thought about before. And Denise, I'm a fan of Maya Angelou as well. So thank you all for that. And, I am going to wrap up with a shout out to Larry Stubblefield and the team at the SBA and OVBD. We could not do what we do without our partnership with the SBA. Larry and his team are always looking to not only solve problems for all of you and figure out ways to be helpful and supportive, but also the same for all of us here. I think sometimes folks forget that in partnerships like this, it's not just all of you who need some help and assistance. Sometimes we do too. And Larry and his team have been wonderful partners in that regard. And I think one of the things that why we are such good partners is that we are aligned in our commitment to serving all of you. And so when you are focused on a common mission, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So grateful to you, Larry, for all of your support and the support of your team. And as I've been saying, I look forward to doing more, better together. We've got a mission, and we will do that. So to Misty and the team, thank you. To our panelists, thank you. And I'm looking forward to that Christmas shopping list. I did a lot of it last year and found a lot of great treats, and looking forward to doing some more of that this year. So with that, Misty, back over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Maureen. Some great words. So of course, awesome. Thanks to everyone that joined us today. You will be getting an email that has all the links that we mentioned today, that also has that amazing shopping guide on there that you'll see some of these VOBs and more, so that as you're doing your Christmas shopping, you can shop veteran as well. But really do appreciate the amazing wisdom that was shared today, the camaraderie as well. I know that these folks would not hesitate to follow up if you reached out. So again, thanks to everyone, and please check us out here at the IVMF and more. Have a good week. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Misty.
Thank you. You guys have a great week.
You too.
You too.
Stay safe, everyone.